Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the other side of my studio. And today I want to make an art. I just want to make artwork. So, I was watching like this TikTok compilation recently that was on YouTube, and one of the TikToks showed a person doing an exercise that beginner drawers do. And I felt inspired by that, but wanted to take it a step further. So when people learn how to draw, part of it is to get them beyond the point that, oh my gosh, it has to look realistic, or saying like, making it more comfortable for them to realize you can work on your way to making it look more realistic, but it doesn't have to look realistic right away. Art has value beyond whether it looks realistic or not. So kind of an exercise to get you used to like the proper movements is you draw your face, you do a self-portrait, but you don't look at the paper while you do it. And at worst you get a really terrible mess, but most of the time you get this delightfully wacky picture. It's like, oh my gosh. And it doesn't look good, but it's not supposed to look good, because that's not why you made it. You made it so you can improve as an artist. And I thought, wow, it's been a while since I've done that. And I mean, usually when you do this type of picture, you don't lift your pencil from the paper, because that's kind of your guide map for where you are. You're thinking in your mind's eye, okay, I made this, this is far apart, I make this. And it's like, well, that is good for having a piece of yarn there to make it stand out. So I'm going to make that portrait of me today, and then I'm going to cover it with yarn and kind of have like this cool tactile like multimedia piece. So we'll see how it is. I got my mirror, and I've also set it up this way so you guys can actually see it, because honestly, compared to like other pictures, like this is one of the more hilarious things to see how it turns out. So I'm going to be drawing my face. And can you see that? Yeah. Alright, so I'm just going to leave this here. For the record, it's going to be the last, once this goes on, this is going to be the last time I touch this. So, or look at it. I got my mirror out here. Can you kind of see it? Yeah. I cannot see the picture in the mirror. Oh man, this mirror is small. Okay. Just going to move slightly over here. We're going to start with my, we're going to start with my eye. It feels like Mary Poppins, where it's like, this mirror is so small, this will not do. We're going to draw the eyebrow. This is my good eyebrow. You're going to go over and give me a unibrow. Oh. Yeah, it's funny when I'm like watching makeup videos and it's like, oh, my eyebrows are sisters, but they're not twins. It's like, my eyebrows were never twins and never will be twins. Then we got my nose, and I have a rather delightful nose. I like how smooth it is. I'm going to go with my lips now. I guess I should include my teeth because my mouth is a little bit open, even though my teeth will make it look a little bit more demented. Guess I should include those lines, I guess. Alright. Now, to the general shape of my face, which looks perfectly... Oh, I just left the canvas. That's not a good sign. Work my way up, and now we're going to get my wonderful pixie cut. Overgrown pixie cut. never got my neck, did I? Well, if this is in the wrong space, which it probably is, I'll end up looking like I have a beard. It's cool, I can see what I look like as a dude. Okay. And that kind of goes off. And let's see. So I look really sad in this. I'm going to bring it closer so you can see. Oh, you know what I look like? You know the cartoon Big Mouth? I've never actually seen an episode that has this distinct art style. It kind of looks like that. I look so sad here. I also look like I'm missing my jaw. But it's not bad either. This is relatively good. You can tell that I drew a face. Which, impressive. Honestly, this is very coherent. You can tell I drew a person. Although, I mean, this was like when I tried to draw the shoulder, so it's really off. You could tell. This was like, went back and then, yeah. But even like the hair is relatively above the eyes and the eyebrows are relatively above the eyes. Not bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, now I think what we're going to do is we're going to take yarn and we're going to place yarn anywhere that I have. Well, my plan is to cover the entire thing with yarn. But I'm going to place one color where there's an outline. It's going to be another color for a place that's inside me, and then a third color for the background is what I think we're going to do. And I've already got my colors picked out. I'm going to pause it here and then restart again because I plan on speeding up the next part.
And now we switch over to voiceover Becky for this part. I realized that in the last part, I forgot something that I remind people of all the time, which is that I am not transparent. So sorry you weren't able to actually see me work on the drawing, but this isn't going to be a problem during this point. Anyway, I'm really glad that I decided to speed up this next part because the whole process ended up taking over 3 hours, and I was able to speed it down to just about 5 minutes, which I'm pretty happy about. What you're watching me do at the moment is going to take up the bulk of the rest of the picture, which is I'm taking Elmer's glue and I'm brushing it along the part of the canvas where I want the yarn to stick, and then I'm placing the yarn on the canvas right away. Once the yarn is as long as I like it, I take a set of scissors and I snip it. I didn't want the yarn to overlap each other, so there was quite a bit of snipping in order to make sure that the yarn was relatively level. When I was doing the outline part, I was using a rubber mixer instead of a traditional brush to apply the glue because I didn't want the brush to absorb too much of the glue. But then when I started applying the actual color, I switched to a regular paintbrush because I realized the rubber mixer, while it wasn't absorbing a lot of the glue, it also wasn't carrying a lot of glue over, and I needed a lot of glue in order to actually have it absorb onto the canvas. I ended up having to just slather the Elmer's glue on very thickly because the yarn and the canvas were not absorbing the glue as much as I hoped they were. They were sticking, but it took several tries in order to actually get several pieces onto the canvas. And especially since I wanted the yarn in specific places, I often had to maneuver into place with my fingers or the end of the brush. Now you may be wondering why I'm bothering using a paintbrush to apply the glue rather than just using the traditional glue bottle, which there is a reason for that. I do have a traditional glue bottle, but the glue inside the glue bottle has settled, which means that the different components of the glue started to come apart. So all the watery part of the glue was towards the top, and then all the actual body of the glue was towards the bottom, and I didn't feel like cleaning that out. And I had some glue in a jug that was still the way that it was supposed to be. So it's just easier to use that and just pour it out into another bin and just paint it on, which is why you constantly see me turning. You don't really see it in the video, but I did have a bowl that I held the glue in and I put the paintbrush in to sift the glue over. The jug of glue is a relic from the time just after I finished studying abroad. So I studied abroad in Rome, and when I was in Rome, I had the opportunity to submit artwork for a contest. They had a contest where you had to make a sculpture and it had to be an airplane. That's because the person who was providing the funding for the contest was an heir to the Caproni estate, if I remember right. Anyway, she legally had the title of princess. So I decided I was going to make an airplane out of Elmer's glue. And the way that I did this was I put out wax paper, I drew the shapes, and I literally had the glue fill in the shapes. And then I peeled the glue off and I glued the dried glue stacks to each other. Anyway, the piece looked amazing. The princess bought it for 60 euros. And when I got back home, I thought, hey, I'm going to make more stuff out of glue this way. And I attempted, but I never actually did anything with it. And then I had like a bunch of glue, which honestly still wasn't a waste because, as you can see, I'm still using the glue for other projects, even though they're not the projects that I intended. Many of the stuff that I end up using in my studio ends up being that way. I buy it for a project, I don't end up using all of it, or I end up changing my mind and then I use it for another project. So things don't tend to go to waste, which probably doesn't help my hoarding tendencies, but hey, it is what it is. Right around here, I just had to take a break. That's because sometimes when I get so involved in my art, I forget to like eat or take a break or do other things. And I have to remind myself that I'm human and hey, maybe it'd be more fun if my stomach wasn't growling, you know? But here you can also see I took some artistic liberties. Like you can see I'm putting some green in places where it wasn't there, but I decided it would make the piece a little bit more visually interesting. Also at this point, even though I was listening to music the entire time and I was mostly thinking about that, I started wondering if my mindset was subconsciously coming through in the piece without me even realizing it, where I was kind of showing how there's this vacant vacuum in my mind, but also how there were these barriers that I couldn't seem to penetrate in how I was thinking. And I mean, as someone who got her degree in art history, I kind of can't help but think about how other people will interpret my work, even though I know that the way most artists do their work, they're not really thinking about that stuff a lot of the time, or it depends on the work. And honestly, this was just starting to be a fun project, but the meaning always gets attached later. You know, you just start the artwork and then the meaning attaches.
Alright, so here is the finished art. And you know what? I wasn't expecting to make myself look like Squidward, but I'm not mad at it either. Yeah, I haven't decided whether I want to, what's it called? Put a border on this or not, because the yarn edges are a bit raggedy, and I'm going to get a close-up of this too so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. But, yeah, it turned out pretty good, considering what I was starting off with. Let me get that close-up for you now. Anyway, that was today's entertainment. Have a nice day.